I want to say greetings to each and every one of you, Aquapa, and welcome to another round of Tech and Future Talk here on LIB Radio, LIB TV, livinginblack.com. It's Thursday mornings. We get together with you and we talk about what is happening in the future. We talk about entertainment, economics, education, health, labor law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all areas of human activity, and Pan-African studies is very high on our agenda. Today's date is Thursday. It is the 10th day of July 2025 in the Gregorian calendar. This corresponds to the year 6265 in the Kemetic calendar, to which we realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the seventh millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIB Radio, LIB TV here on livinginblack.com. I hope that we do have an interesting program for you today. Let me give you the theme of today's program. And before we get started, can I get you during the course of the program to hit the like button? Share this link with your friends and family, those who you think need to know more about what you are studying on LIB Radio every day. This is the People's Academy. And I do mean that with all sincerity. This is the People's Academy. Not only are we studying and learning, but we are leading as well. Studying, learning, and leading, doing and leading. That's all very important. Here is what we have on stage for today's lesson. This theme is entitled Trump, what? No, the question is, what does Trump want from African heads of state 2025? Today is Tech and Future Talk on libradio.com. Recently, President Trump held meetings with 5 African heads of government from Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal. What do we know about that summit? And what deals were made behind closed doors? Should we automatically consider these governments to be betraying the tenets of Pan-Africanism and for their dealings with the President of the U.S.? Or should we look at the facts and judge whether or not they are selling us out? We need answers now. We need answers now. So these 5 countries are kind of representative of Africa across the board. Of the 5 countries, we have Guinea-Bissau, which is Portuguese speaking, former Portuguese colony. Gabon, which is French. Liberia, which is English. And real interesting, we're going to hear Trump's own words, him praising the leader of Liberia for his English. But English has been the language, the government language of Liberia since its existence, founded by former African enslaved. So interesting, Trump makes several gaffes in that particular speech. And we will hear from Mauritania and Senegal. So we do need to look at this. First, let's go to the following story. Trump meets African leaders. On July 9, 2025, President Donald Trump hosted a business lunch at the White House with the leaders of Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal. So July 9, That's just yesterday, marking the beginning of a quarterly initiative aimed at enhancing U.S. Africa relations through commercial opportunities. This summit, while modest in scale, reflects a strategic pivot in U.S. foreign policy toward Africa, emphasizing economic engagement over traditional aid-based relationships. Now, we here at LIB Radio have long emphasized the point, and I am not the first to make this point. Africa needs trade, not aid. Damisa Mboyo said it in her book. The president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, made the claim Africa needs trade, not aid. So Donald Trump heard that, and he's stepping in. The summit's primary focus on fostering commercial partnerships that could benefit both American companies and African nations. The Trump administration's approach to foreign policy is characterized by its transactional nature, prioritizing deals that align with U.S. economic interests, particularly in securing mineral deals and supply chains to compete with China's growing influence in the region. The selection of these 5 West and Central African nations was not arbitrary. Each country possesses unique economic and strategic attributes that make them valuable partners in this endeavor. Gabon, for instance, is a significant producer of manganese, a critical mineral used in the production of batteries and stainless steel, and has been actively engaged with China for infrastructure and investment. The inclusion of Gabon underscores the U.S. interest in securing access to these vital resources. Similarly, Senegal and Mauritania are key transit and origin countries for migration and drug smuggling, issues that resonate with the Trump administration's focus on border security and combating illegal activities. Liberia, a historical ally of the U.S., faces significant challenges due to the closure of USAID, which previously accounted for a substantial portion of its gross national income. The summit provided an opportunity for Liberia to reaffirm its commitment to regional stability and democratic governance while seeking new avenues for economic cooperation with the United States. Guinea-Bissau, despite having minimal U.S. trade interests and no U.S. embassy presence since 1998, was an unexpected invitee. Guinea-Bissau was an unexpected invitee. The country's strategic importance lies in its potential to counterbalance Chinese and Russian influence in the region, as it has been courted by these nations for its geographical position and resources. The invitation to Guinea-Bissau's President Umaro Sissoco Embalo, who faces internal challenges regarding the legality of his continued administration, represents a show of support from the Trump administration. Now, one might ask, if the U.S. has no real relations with Guinea-Bissau, what was the reason for Guinea-Bissau being invited? They said it was a kind of an unexpected showing up. Could it have been that other nations were rejected the invitation by Trump? I don't know. Maybe we'll learn that today. But it is interesting. The summit also highlighted the administration's broader strategy of leveraging personal relationships and deal making to advance its foreign policy objectives. The appointment of Masad Boulos as senior advisor for Africa, known for his mediation and deal making skills, exemplifies this approach. Boulos's influence underscores the importance of personal connections in shaping U.S. policy towards regions that might not traditionally be a priority. Critics argue that the exclusion of major African economies, such as South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, and Ethiopia, which are aligned with BRICS, limits the summit's impact and reflects a narrow focus on short-term gains rather than long-term strategic partnerships. Nonetheless, the summit represents a shift toward more commercially oriented U.S.-Africa relationship with the potential to create new opportunities for both sides. In conclusion, the July 9 summit with President Trump and 5 African heads of state marks a significant step in redefining U.S.-Africa relations. While the transactional nature of the engagement and the selection of invitees have drawn mixed reactions, the event underscores the U.S.'s intent to compete with China and Russia for influence in Africa through economic partnership and strategic deals. The effectiveness of this approach in the long term remains to be seen, but it sets the stage for more commercially driven U.S. foreign policy in the region. So that is an introduction to today's story. Right now, we're going to go to some video. First, let me post the video up for Africa One. I see you in the house, beloved. She writes, Hotep Brother Keedy and global LIB family, outside, catching the few rays of gray rock sun. We'll listen later. And it's great to have you with us today. We appreciate, love you being in the house. And we're going to continue to do what we do here on LIB Radio. I hope you feel that we do it with particular skills. And the skills that we aim to demonstrate here on LIB Radio are skills that we encourage everyone to take personal and to master these research skills, these investigation skills, so that every one of us brings something of value and quality to the Pan-African table. It is a feast. It is a feast. Everyone brings something to the table. Not only do we know that all of us will eat, but that it will be diverse, it will be delicious and full of filling of the heart, the soul, the mind. That's what we do here on LIB Radio. So right now, I'm going to go to this next article, which is not an article. It is a video. And this video, I'm pulling it up right now. Bear with me. It has Donald Trump there with a bunch of African leaders. It's from PBS. And I am going to right now click on this link to present the video, share the screen, watch with audio. And here is the particular video that I was just talking about. We are here to share. Bear with me as here we go.
Exactly what's happening. Caroline, could I ask you to say a few words?
Yes, sir.
Here we have Ariana, who is from the continent of Africa. She's been a reporter here in the United States for many years, and she has a story to share with the press, with the media, and with these two fantastic leaders who have joined you today. So, Ariana, please.
Why don't you come up here and talk so they can see?
Sure.
Now, for some,
That'd be great. Thank you very
okay,
much.
it is
a great
playing.
honor.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, as Caroline has mentioned, President, first of all, I want to let you know that I'm the only African reporter accredited here at the White House.
Wow.
And I cover for the entire continent. So, I just arrived from Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo,
Right.
yesterday. I went to see firsthand how the people is feeling and the president's message, President Felix Tshisekedi, about this upcoming peace deal. And let me tell you firsthand what I've witnessed myself. I spoke with the people on the street. I spoke with youth. They know your name. They know that a president named President Trump is working hard to finally bring peace to the country. I saw hope. They have hope now for a better day in Congo. They see what you're doing as a future, better future for Congo. And I had opportunity to sit down with President Felix Tshisekedi for an interview because I want to understand his mind, what he's thinking, his feeling about everything that your administration is doing. And he told me firsthand that for many years, many American presidents overlooked this conflict. They didn't do nothing. Even myself, I cover President Biden's administration. I pressed many times about this conflict. People are dying in Congo. This country has so much potential, but they need help because this war is destroying the country.
Right.
They never gave me any answer. And he told me, President Tshisekedi, that you have no idea, he's very thankful for what you're doing, for what your administration is doing. Not only him, the entire Congolese people. They see that finally they will have hope. And President Tshisekedi also mentioned at the end of my interview that when peace finally comes to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, he's thinking to nominate you as a Nobel Prize Peace because he said you deserve, you have been working to bring peace in the world, not only at the Congo, and he's very hopeful to meet you in the future.
That's so nice. Boy, and that's so beautifully stated. And Caroline said, number one, she did say, and I shouldn't say this because it's politically incorrect, she said, she's beautiful, and you are beautiful. Okay? I'm not allowed to say that, that could be the end of my political career, but I said it anyway. But you are beautiful, and you're beautiful inside. So I wish I had more reporters like you. So you covered Africa for a long time?
Yes, for over 10 years.
Wow.
I cover even your first administration.
Yes, I know that. That's great. Well, thank you. That's so nice that you said that.
you.
Appreciate it.
And I have one more question,
Yes.
Mr. President. Since we know in July or in the future, both.
And that's enough of that. Donald Trump goes on to talk about how beautiful she is. And there is no denying she's a very beautiful woman. That is very inappropriate for Donald Trump to say that. And so we understand where he's coming from. That's enough of that. Now, I also have to apologize for some odd reason. The audio is acting real crazy right now. I'm going to double check it right now. The audio is on the hands free. It is what it is. I'm testing it. It is playing in my ear, and the audio should have been playing as well. What I am going to do right now, I'm going to real quickly double check my control panel. Control panel, and the control panel will have the audio, the system audio in it. So I'm going to click on that system audio and the sound, and it should be up and running. And I'll put it in my headphones to the best of my abilities. I do have another little piece of a video I'm going to share here in a little bit. But let's go back to the text. And that particular not connected to the summit. And I do have a piece of audio connected to the summit, which is this one, Trump's summit snafus. This is a video short, and I'm going to paste this video short up here right now. And give me a second, it's going to come up. Very well worth waiting on. And this piece of video is entitled Trump's Snafus. This is from the conference. So, again, I am not hearing it. Let's try this one here. And I'm going to try this one. Playback, listening to sounds, playback, not recording, playback. Let me just see if this one, I'm going to connect. There we do. We have the playback in the ear right now. So bear with me, people. This is not always easy. And what makes it worse is that on some days, this thing just resets itself. So right now, I've got it playing in my ear. I'm going to play this piece of audio from Donald Trump at the summit. This is entitled Donald Trump's Snafu. I'm going to replay this a second time. All right. That is the video that you and I get a chance to hear. It is what it is. Donald Trump is what he is. He says what he says. He does what he does. And it's kind of country, but that's okay. Um, I have another piece of video. I'll show this one at the end in case anybody is interested. Trump's stupid remarks regarding African countries. It's top 5 stupid things Donald Trump has said about Africa. That's not necessarily needed right now. I will put up a link to Trump's summit snafus. In the first piece of that video, he is speaking with the leader of Liberia, and he compliments the leader of Liberia on his language. You're very, very beautiful speaking language. The thing about it is that the president of Liberia was educated in his country, schooled, because English is the primary language of Liberia. And Trump doesn't know that. Are you and I surprised? Not necessarily. Now, Trump doesn't know that Liberians are educated, schooled in English. They do have indigenous languages, but the reality is they are educated from early schooling in English. We go forward. Here is what I do when I talk about next. Summarize in 600 words. This is a request of AI. The recent BRICS summit in Rio with a focus on African sustainable development. That's what I asked. Here's what came back from that BRICS inquiry from AI. BRICS Summit 2025, Rio, Africa Sustainable Development. The 2025 BRICS Summit, held in Rio de Janeiro, marked a significant milestone in the evolution of the BRICS bloc, particularly concerning its commitment to sustainable development in Africa. The summit themed strengthening global South cooperation for a more inclusive and sustainable governance, brought together leaders from Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and newly added members such as Indonesia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. Now, I didn't know that Saudi Arabia had joined BRICS insofar as recent. I know they had been extended the invitation. There was a time when they did not accept the invitation, but according to this AI inquiry, Saudi Arabia has accepted the new membership. One of the key outcomes of the summit was the adoption of the Rio de Janeiro Declaration, a comprehensive document that emphasized the importance of sustainable development, particularly in the global South. The declaration highlighted the need for increased cooperation among BRICS nations to address pressing issues such as climate change, economic inequality, and access to clean energy. For Africa, the declaration was particularly significant as it underscored the importance of sustainable development in the continent, where many countries face challenges related to poverty, infrastructure, and environmental degradation. The summit also focused on the role of the new Development Bank, NDB, established by BRICS to provide funding for infrastructure and sustainable development projects. Brazil, as the host nation, emphasized the importance of the new development bank in supporting sustainable development in Africa. The bank's focus on infrastructure, sustainability, and local currency operations aligns with the needs of many African countries, which require significant investment in these areas to achieve sustainable growth. During the summit, discussions also centered around the needs of the need for a more equitable representation of the global South in international institutions such as the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. BRICS leaders called for reforms in these institutions to give the global South a greater voice in decision-making processes, which could lead to more effective and inclusive policies that benefit African countries. The summit also addressed the issue of climate change, with Brazil as the host of the upcoming COP30 UN Climate Conference in Belém, emphasizing the importance of climate change. The leaders discussed the need for a joint approach to climate finance and the importance of protecting biodiversity, particularly in the Amazon region. The summit provided a platform for BRICS countries to coordinate their efforts ahead of COP30, with a focus on building convergence on climate policy despite differing national interests. In terms of economic development, the summit highlighted the importance of trade and investment in promoting sustainable development in Africa. The leaders discussed the need to reduce dependency on the US dollar and the euro by settling trade in national currencies, which could help African countries to better manage their economic relationships and reduce vulnerability to external shocks. The BRICS summit also addressed the issue of artificial intelligence, AI, and its potential impact on sustainable development. The leaders called for protections against unauthorized use of AI and emphasized the need for mechanisms to ensure fair payment for data usage, which could have implications for African countries as they seek to harness the benefits of AI for sustainable development. Despite the progress made, The summit also highlighted the challenges faced by BRICS bloc in maintaining cohesion among its members. The expansion of the bloc to include 10 full member and 10 partner nations has led to increased diversity in perspectives and interests, which can make consensus building more challenging. However, the leaders reaffirmed their commitment to working together to address common challenges and promote sustainable development in the global South. In conclusion, the 2025 BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro was a significant event that highlighted the importance of sustainable development in Africa. The summit provided a platform for BRICS leaders to discuss and coordinate their efforts on issues such as climate change, economic development, and global governance, with a focus on promoting sustainable development in the global South. The outcomes of the summit, particularly the Rio de Janeiro Declaration, underscored the importance of cooperation among BRICS nations in addressing these challenges and promoting a more inclusive and sustainable global order. Very, very important. And what I'm going to do right now is I am going to go over to a new browser and I'm going to look up the particular document they're talking about, the Rio de Janeiro Declaration. So let me plug that in, copy and paste it in. The Rio de Janeiro Declaration. And here is what the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development has to say. I'm giving you the title first, and this is dated, this is actually a little bit older. This is having met at Rio de Janeiro from 13th to 14th of June, 1992. Now, looking at the Rio de Janeiro Declaration, I don't know if that is in particular the document that I wanted. This is the document that I do want, and this comes from BRICS.br, which it would be Brazil. So this one, I'm going to open it up right now. And here is what this document has to say. Rio de Janeiro Declaration. Strengthening Global South cooperation for more inclusive and sustainable governance. And I will drink to that. Here's what it has to say. I hope you find this to be interesting. Please, let's pay attention. I'm not going to be able to read all of the document. It is 26 pages long, but I'll do the best I can. We, the leaders of BRICS countries, met in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil from 6th to 7th July 2025 for the 17th BRICS Summit held under the theme, quote, strengthening the global South cooperation for more inclusive and sustainable governance, unquote. Point 2, we reaffirm our commitment to the BRICS spirit of mutual respect and understanding, sovereign equality, solidarity, democracy, openness, inclusiveness, collaboration, and consensus. As we build upon 17 years of BRICS summits, we further commit ourselves to strengthening cooperation in the expanded BRICS under the 3 pillars of political and security, economic and financial, cultural and people-to-people cooperation, and to enhance our strategic partnership for the benefit of our people, through the promotion of peace, a more representative, fairer international order, a reinvigorated and reformed multilateral system, sustainable development, and inclusive growth. Point 3, we welcome the Republic of Indonesia as a BRICS member, as well as the Republic of Belarus, the plurinational state of Bolivia, the Republic of Kazakhstan, the Republic of Cuba, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Malaysia, the Kingdom of Thailand, the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, the Republic of Uganda, and the Republic of Uzbekistan as BRICS partner countries. We underline the significance of the adoption of the BRICS Leaders Framework Declaration on Climate Finance and of the BRICS Leaders Statement on the Global Governance of Artificial Intelligence, as well as endorse the launch of the BRICS Partnership for the Elimination of Socially Determined Diseases. These initiatives reflect our joint efforts to foster inclusive and sustainable solutions to pressing global issues. Next, strengthening multilateralism and reforming global governments. Paragraph 5, we reiterate our commitment to reforming and improving global governance by promoting a more just, sustainable, equitable, agile, effective, efficient, responsive, representative, legitimate, democratic, and accountable international and multilateral system in the spirit of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits. Now I'm going to move this over here to my other page. So I am staring at the camera. And let me find out, go back where we were. Okay, here is where we are. In this regard, we take note of the adoption of the Pact of the Future at the Summit of the Future, including its 2 annexes, the Global Digital Compact and the Declaration of Future Generations. Bearing in mind the need to adapt the current architecture of international relations to better reflect the contemporary realities, we reaffirm our commitment to multilateralism and upholding the international law, including the purposes and principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations, UN, in their entirety and interconnectedness as its indispensable cornerstone and the central role of the UN in the international system, in which sovereign states cooperate to maintain international peace and security, advance sustainable development, ensure the promotion and protection of democracy, human rights, and fundamental freedoms for all, as well as the cooperation based on solidarity, mutual respect, justice, and equality. We also reiterate our commitment to ensure greater and more peaceful participation and one second. Let me back up. Where did I get lost at? We also reiterate our commitment to ensure greater and more meaningful participation and representation of emerging markets and developing countries, EMDCs, as well as lesser or least developed countries, LDCs, especially from African and Latin American and the Caribbean, in global decision-making processes and structures, and making them better attuned to contemporary realities. We also call for achieving equitable geographical representation in the Secretariat of the United Nations and other international organizations in a timely manner, as well as increasing the role and share of women, especially from the uh, EMDCs, emerging markets and developing countries, and at all levels of leadership and responsibility in these organizations. We stress the need for the selection and appointment process of UN executive heads and senior positions to be guided by the principles of transparency and inclusiveness and carried out in accordance with all the provisions of Article 101 of the UN Charter, with due regard for recruiting staff on a geographical basis as wide as possible, and the increased participation of women, and adhere to the general rule that there should be no monopoly on senior posts in the UN system by nationals of any state or group of states. This goes on and on and on and on, and it will go on for quite a bit. In the current, this is from point 11, in the current context of uncertainty and volatility, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, must remain adequately resourced and agile at the center of the global finance safety net to effectively support its members, particularly the most vulnerable countries. Despite the absence of quota realignment, we have provided consent to the proposed quota increase under the 16th General Review of Quotas and argue IMF members that have not done so to provide their consent and give effect to the quota increases under the 16th GRQ with no further delay. And it goes on. I'm not going to bog you down with this mundane document. It does have a section called Promoting Peace, Security, and International Stability. Let me introduce that. We express concern about ongoing conflicts in many parts of the world and the current state of polarization and fragmentation in the international order. We express alarm at the current trend that has been a critical increase in global military spending to the detriment of the provision of adequate financing for development to developing nations. We advocate for a multilateral approach that respects diverse national viewpoints and positions on crucial global issues, including sustainable development, the eradication of hunger and poverty, and contributing to the global response to climate change, while expressing deep concern over attempts to link security with the climate change agenda. And on that note, I think I'm going to come out of this document. Again, this document is 25 pages long. We read about parts of 9 pages. So I'm going to close this one out and once again return to the research that I had put together yesterday for today. And I have a bunch of articles up. The first one is the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio, a pivotal platform for Africa's Global South agenda. I'm just going to put up the links to this article as it is approaching the time for me to wrap it up. I'm going to put up the link on various websites, such as up on Rumble. And I see you in the house, my sister Rhonda. She says, Uja, all. Baba Kitty, nothing came through as far as the Trump video. Doggone it. I thought let me try that one more time. I'm going to give you the link to it. And you tell me, this is the Trump, today, Trump's Africa snafus. So this is that link right here. And you will have a chance to check it out individually and have a record of it. It is quite humorous. And then there was another link that I did mention that I was going to put up. And this one is top 5 stupid things Donald Trump has said about Africa. And I'm going to put this link up here as well. Post that link on that site. I'm going to post this one up on Rumble. Top 5 stupid things Donald Trump has said about Africa. And I'm going to post this up on my Facebook page so you have access to the top 5 stupid things that the President of the U.S. has spoken about, said about Africa. Lastly, I'm going to go to my paper here one more time, my document, and this is from the Africans at the 17th BRICS Summit, Rio de Janeiro. This is somewhat a summary statement. And here, let me give you a link to this. Copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste. So here is what this last little piece of research has to say. South Africa remains the only founding African member of BRICS, attending in Rio under President Cyril Ramaphosa. In 2024 and 2025, and somebody trying to call me, and I don't know who this is. In 2024, 2025, Egypt and Ethiopia joined as full members, expanding Africa's direct voice in the bloc. As of July 2025, 6 African countries have formal roles, 3 as members, South Africa, Egypt, and Ethiopia, and 3 as partner countries, Nigeria, Algeria, Uganda. Several other African states, including Senegal and Kenya, have signed interest in partnership status, underscoring BRICS' growing appeal on the continent. 10 partner countries were present at the summit, among them Nigeria, Algeria, Uganda, Malaysia, and Vietnam. The African Union was formally represented by its chairperson, Angolan President João Lourenço, reflecting continental aspirations for greater inclusion in global governance. The set of attendees marked the most robust African representation in BRICS history, positioning the continent as pivotal global South actor. Key interventions by African leaders include Cyril Ramaphosa, South Africa. Ramaphosa used the plenary on peace, security, and global governance to urge urgent reform of the UN Security Council, calling for it to reflect contemporary multipolar realities and include African voices. He emphasized that lasting global peace depends on democratic representative institutions and advocated for stronger regional peacekeeping mechanisms led by developing countries themselves. From the sidelines, he highlighted synergies between BRICS, COP30, and G20 outcomes, particularly in AI governance and climate finance to drive inclusive, transformative development. Bola Tinubu, the head of state of Nigeria, as head of a newly minted BRICS partner country, President Tinubu decried the marginalization of low-income and emerging economies, stressing that Africa contributes least to global emissions yet suffers most from climate change. He called for comprehensive reform of international financial and healthcare systems, citing frameworks such as Nigeria Vision 2050 and the African Carbon Market Initiative. Tinubu insisted that BRICS become a vehicle to dismantle structural barriers and empower youth, who make up 70% of Nigeria's population, to shape their own future. Joao Lourenço, Angola, and representing the AU. In his capacity as African Union chairperson, Lourenço advocated for overhauling post-World War II institutions to align with the continent's Agenda 2063. He urged BRICS members to back Africa's electrification, industrialization, and infrastructure projects priorities under the African Continental Free Trade Area. He also called for peaceful solutions to conflicts in Sudan, the Sahel, and the Horn of Africa, and demanded an immediate ceasefire in Gaza alongside the UN-backed steps toward Palestinian statehood. Angola will host an AU infrastructure conference in October to mobilize international partnerships for development. Next, we have Africa's strategic priorities. African delegations drove several key agendas at Rio. Number one, reforming global governance, push for equitable UN Secretariat staffing, Security Council expansion, and implementation of the Eswatini Consensus and Sirte Declaration, which call for African seats on the UN Security Council. 2. De-dollarization and local currency. Local currency trade, encouragement of intra-BRICS settlement in national currencies to reduce vulnerability to unilateral financial measures. Number 3, climate change, climate finance, and sustainable development advocacy for accessible, predictable climate funds, green infrastructure investment, and technology transfer to support just transitions. Number 4, digital equality and critical minerals, calls to bridge Africa's digital divide, enhance public digital infrastructure, and secure fair access to critical minerals essential for the energy transition. And 5, new development banks engagements leveraging the NDB's New Development Bank's African Regional Office in Johannesburg for financing infrastructure and renewable energy projects across the continent. So there is one more section here, real quickly, reflections in the Rio Declaration. The Rio de Janeiro Declaration explicitly acknowledges the central role of the UN and commits to reforming its principal organs to better reflect contemporary realities, with special reference to greater participation of least developed countries and emerging markets, especially from Africa and Latin America. The document endorses the Pact of the Future and the Global Digital Compact, signaling BRICS' readiness to advance African digital and generational interests. Moreover, the declaration reaffirms multilateralism as a tool for addressing deepening geopolitical tensions, rapid economic shifts, and protectionist measures that disproportionately affect Africa's economies. By demanding the restoration of the World Trade Organization's dispute settlement mechanism and condemning unilateral sanctions such as Trump's tariffs, BRICS aligned with Africa's calls for an open, rules-based trading system. Outcomes and future projects. Rio Summit strengthened Africa's leverage within BRICS through concrete outcomes. Number 1, enhanced African representation in BRICS dialogues, setting the stage for continental priorities to feature in 2026's New Delhi Summit under India's chairship. Point 2, commitments to mobilize alternative financial streams and technology partnerships, particularly in climate resilience and digital infrastructure. Point 3, a clear roadmap for Security Council reform, bolstered by intra-BRICS solidarity from China and Russia on expanding permanent seats. And point 4, formal backing for Africa's Agenda 2063 projects and infrastructure initiatives, catalyzing African Union and BRICS cooperation. As BRICS evolves into a broader Global South platform, African participation at Rio underscored the continent's resolve to move from passive recipient to active architect of global order. From governance overhauls to climate smart development, Africa's voice has become indispensable to shaping a more inclusive, sustainable, and multipolar future. And I think that is all said, all well said and good. Today was the theme we started. What does Trump want from African heads of state? And you could see how that conversation quickly morphed into what do African heads of state want from the West, from Europe? What do African heads of state want from the world? And from my understanding, the African heads of state want what BRICS has to offer. Now, Trump is competing against BRICS, which BRICS is pretty much led by China's Belt and Road Initiative, the biggest infrastructure development project in history. That is what Trump has openly admitted he is competing against. Are African nations, are we pawns in the game with no say? Or are we to now stand up? That's a good question. I cannot answer it because we here on LIB Radio, we are Pan-African, no doubt. And our voice should be heard in international affairs. But the fact of the matter is, there's just far too few of us participating. I asked everybody at the beginning of today's program to hit the like button, to share that you do enjoy LIB Radio, that you are listening intently. And these subject matters, they may seem a little foreign to many of us, but they need not be. We should be paying very close attention to these matters. So on that note, I am going to wrap it up for today. It's been a good day. We're going to be back again tomorrow with another interesting program for you to build on, to build a future on. This is Tech and Future Talk, so that's what we do around here. Tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on economics and finance. I am going to encourage all of you to, if you can, I need you to support my business because my business supports LIV Radio. If you can, buy a book and support this network. You can go to http KEIDI.biz/CRP Conscious Rasta Press 2012 and show some love. You can also, to support the network, go to the front page of http and LIB Radio. Ooh, man, you a mess. Radio.com. Go to http://libradio.com and look for the support, the network links. So there it is. We encourage you to do so. The majority of you are passive. That's a reality. The majority of you are not aligned with the goals that we discuss here on LIB Radio. But that's not to say that tomorrow or today or tomorrow somebody will cross that line and say, hey, listen, I am down with LIB Radio. I believe in it. Personally, I believe in it. But you, I'm hoping you will say you believe in it too. A number of you do support us. That is great. I really do appreciate that. This Saturday, I will be hosting once again the first Saturday Las Vegas Vegan Feast. It'll be on the second Saturday this month because last week was the 4th of July on Friday, and we didn't want to compete against that. So if you are in Las Vegas right now or this weekend, come on through. Text me at area code 702-580-0662. Text me and I will let you know what we are doing this weekend. If you haven't already, get on our mailing list. You can do so at chefkitty.com. I think that'll take you right to the mailing list. Get on our mailing list and get the information that we send out several times a week. You've been tuned into LIV Radio, LIV TV, livinginblack.com. My name is Tidi Obiawadu, aka the brother from the future. The brother from the future, and I have been sharing today from the future of Pan-African relations and international affairs. So we're doing the best we can, always striving to do better as we get access to more resources and plan long-term strategic planning that matches our collective needs for future development. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you.